wanted to tidy my hair at least a little bit for you. So I did that, and then now I'm gonna record another section. So here goes. 11. John Adams, from the familiar letters of John and Abigail Adams. 9 July 1774. I have never enjoyed better health in any of my journeys, but this has been one of the most irksome, the most gloomy and melancholy I have ever made. I cannot, with all my philosophy and Christian resignation, keep up my spirits. The dismal prospect before me, my family and my country, is too much for my fortitude. And then this is indented. Seems to be a lyric, maybe? Bear me some God, oh quickly bear me hence, to wholesome solitude, the nurse of sense, where contemplation prunes her ruffled wings, and the free soul looks down to pity kings. The day before yesterday, a gentleman came and spoke to me, asked me to dine with him on Saturday, said he was very sorry I had not better lodgings in town, desired if I came to town again I would take a bed at his house, and make his house my home. I should always be very welcome. I told him I had not the pleasure of knowing him. He said his name was Codman. I said I was very much obliged to him, but I was well accommodated where I was lodged. I had a clean bed and a very neat house, a chamber to myself, everything I wanted. On Saturday I dined with him in company with Brigadier Preble, Mayor Freeman and his son, etc., and a very genteel dinner we had. Salt fish and all its apparatus, roast chickens, bacon, peas, as fine a salad as ever was, and a rich meat pie, tarts and custards, etc., good wine, and as good punch as you ever made. A large, spacious, elegant house, yard and garden. I thought I had got into a palace of a nobleman. After dinner, when I was obliged to come away, he renewed his invitation to me to make his house my home whenever I shall come to town again. Friday, I dined with Colonel Sheriff, alias Bill Ting. There's a footnote on Bill Ting. Mrs. Ross and her daughters, Mrs. Ross and her daughter, Mrs. Ting, dined with us, and the court and clerk, and some of the bar. At table we were speaking about Captain McCarty, which led to the African trade. Judge Trowbridge said, "That was a very humane and Christian trade, to be sure, that of making slaves." "Aye," says I, "it makes no great odds. It is a trade that almost all mankind have been concerned in, all over the globe since Adam, more or less, in one way and another." This occasioned a laugh. Another time, Judge Trowbridge said, "It seems, by Colonel Barr's speeches, that Mr. Otis has acquired honor by releasing his damages to Robinson." "Yes," says I, "he has acquired honor with all generations." Trowbridge, "He did not make much profit, I think." Another footnote. We'll come to that, I guess. Adams, "True, but the less profit, the more honor. He was a man of honor and generosity, and those who think he was mistaken will pity him." Thus you see how foolish I am. I cannot avoid exposing myself before these high folks. My feelings will at times overcome my modesty and reserve, my prudence, policy, and discretion. I have a zeal at my heart for my country and her friends, which I cannot smother or conceal. It will burn out at times, and in companies where it ought to be latent in my breast. This zeal will prove fatal to the fortune and felicity of my family, if it is not regulated by a cooler judgment than mine has hitherto been. Colonel Otis's phrase is, "The zeal pot boils over." I am to wait upon Brother Bradbury to meeting today, and to dine with our Brother Wire. And then I shall get home. When I shall get home I know not, but if possible it shall be before next Saturday night. I long for that time to come when my dear wife and my charming little prattlers will embrace me. Your John Adams. Footnotes. 31. William Tyng had just accepted a colonel's commission from General Gage. He was proscribed and banished the next year, but he returned to Maine in 1793, where he died in 1807. A brief but interesting notice of him is to be found in the 10th volume of the Collections of the Massachusetts Historical Society, page 183 to 185. Okay. Maybe we'll look that up at some point. 32. Judge Trowbridge continued a moderate adherent of the government without losing the regard of the Patriot leaders. His reputation as a lawyer was great, and when the writer of this letter proposed the extreme measure of an impeachment of the Chief Justice, Oliver, the admissions of Judge Trowbridge, when consulted, largely contributed to a confirmation of his policy. The judge lost his place on the bench, but he remained otherwise unharmed, and died at Cambridge in 1793. Okay. I gotta tell you, that talk around the table kind of went over my head, and maybe I'll ask you to help me with it. So at present, the Kindle says we have gone about 11% into the book, and this is section 11, letter 11 from John. So now I can know where to come back to that if you ever want to help explain that for me. Okay. Thanks. Love you. Bye.